Woodbridge Fire Commission special meeting at 6:03 p.m. First item on the agenda, public comments.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Who's taking minutes?
Joe. Got any paper and pencil?
Yeah, I take notes anyway, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, so we call to order at 6:03. First item on the agenda is public comments. Anybody? Hearing none. Liaison comments? I don't think we have any liaisons here. Number 4, Chairman's report. So we're going to have a discussion of the bylaws and in executive session, and also a proposed resolution regarding adoption of the quick reference sheet. Discussion to be held in executive session and a vote following that in open session. Those 2 items are the chairman's reports. Number 5, review current financial statements.
Okay, so we started the new year. As you can see, we're in decent shape right now because we're literally 3 weeks into the new year, but you'll see like percentage used is up there, but that's because what we do is we pull blanket purchase orders for the year entities. For instance, one could be like trash. We anticipate what our trash is going to be based on the dumping fees for the year. Other ones are, we open a big blanket PO for medical, for the firefighter physicals, stuff like that. We open blanket POs for repair maintenance machines, so if the truck has to go out, we pull up the blanket POs for those. We have to pull blanket POs for the electric for the building here. Natural gas, we pull a big blanket PO for hydrants. Pull a PO. You can see that one, the hydrant one is $90,000.
Quick question, so when you pull a blanket PO to cover the expenses for the year based on the projected cost, it just shows as encumbered but not expended?
Correct.
Until you actually spend it?
Correct.
Okay.
So there is an issue with the electric, I don't know, we opened up, I believe, a $40,000 PO, but I don't know why it's reading 77,000 encumbered. I have to check on that. I think it's a typo in units. Like where you see year-to-date expended under communication radio for $113,156.41. That is our, we had to pay that already, that is the maintenance contract for the radio system. Okay.
Anyone else have any questions about year-to-date expenses, budget?
Chief, I just had a question on the, if I understand the hydrants correctly, there's maybe about 150 or so.
100 and, yeah, probably 140.
Yeah. So it's a big line item. I was looking at, I brought last month's and this month's. It's a big line item each year for it. Is it usage fees in there as well, or just maintenance of them?
It's not even that, it's access to water, so we don't have metered water. So if we fight a fire, we hit a hydrant, it's not metered. What we have to do is we have to pay to have access to the water. So the hydrants, we own the hydrants.
Yeah.
All town owns their own hydrants, so we're responsible for the maintenance of the hydrant, and if anything happens to the hydrant, we own it.
So most of that's going out to the water company.
All that's going to the water company.
It's not going to the guy that's brushing the rust off and painting them, or that.
Has nothing to do with that. It's just access. It has to do,
Gotcha.
we get charged per linear foot of water pipe in the ground. That's how they determine. So a few years ago, they extended the water pipe down to the animal shelter. So our costs went up based on the increase of the water line that went in.
Would there be another way to cut costs, or is that?
No.
You're,
You can't go to
you're
usage?
set to the DPUC, you can't go anywhere, you're with RWA, and that's it, there's not another game in town. It's not like you can go to Aquarian or whatever and price it around, you're with RWA.
But that's a cost just to the fire department because of our need for water for fire suppression.
It's the
But I'm
access,
thinking-
it's the access to have water at the hydrant. So if we didn't pay that bill,
Yeah.
they could go around and shut the gate for each hydrant and shut the water off, and you don't have water at the fire hydrant.
I was just wondering if it's all our budget. You know, if it's like the pool guy's budget,
No.
where they're filling the pool,
So
it's the pool
way
guy's budget or
the way
the.
the pool guys work and the landscapers work, they come here, we issue them a permit, they have to go down to RWA, they get their truck inspected, they get cleared down there. I think it's a $250 fee right now. The money goes back to the town. There's only there's maybe a half a dozen of them. It's not like it's a huge number. And then the way it works in Woodbridge, they're on the honor system with RWA. So meaning they go, the pool water company goes and fills up, they go drop it at your pool, you get the charge, they tell RWA, hey, I took 3 loads today out of Woodbridge, and it's X number that the water company gets money for the water. We have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So in other towns, they have a metered hydrant where these guys go to, they hit that hydrant, they punch their code in, and it automatically gets billed depending on the water usage. In here, it's more on the honor system, which RWA really doesn't like, but we basically support it only because if you won't have a pool in town and you hired a pool water contractor to come fill your pool, they may have to go to New Haven or Hamden and go get water. It's cheaper for you if they can get water in town, so they don't have to travel distance and everything else. So that's where we more fight with RWA and say we don't care about our metered hydrant, we'll still let them fill here.
It's a big item. I was just trying to see if there's a way to offload it or monetize it or.
So what, in New Haven, when you left, what was New Haven paying for hydrants? Had to be in the millions.
Yeah, I would say it was at least $1 million.
Yeah. So it's up
And
there,
then with
you
the
pay
kids
for,
opening the fire
you
hydrant,
pay
send them a
for,
bill for
you
the
pay
water.
for footage.
There's like 2,000 hydrants in New Haven, 2,000 and change.
But remember, they got a hydrant every couple hundred feet. We have a hydrant every 500 feet.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of the town doesn't have hydrants.
so only 10% of the town has
I was
hydrants.
gonna say, so it's a good size number.
We had,
For us, it's $1 million if it was 100% of coverage. I mean, if we had 10 times the hydrants, right?
Yeah.
right,
I'm assuming it's gotta be by hydrant.
no,
It's by
it's
foot.
by footage.
By footage, but then,
By-
okay.
But there's a
Line
price for the
number.
hydrants too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're like 7,000 if they don't have to dig, something like that.
I was just hating to see the number, you know, but
yeah, so
But that's what it
if
is.
they increase the water line, they can increase the water line, but we're responsible for the hydrant. So if we want to put a hydrant in as they're increasing, we would incur that cost.
okay.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions on the current financial statement? I just have a question on the, I think at our last meeting, you were still waiting to confirmation from the town about emergency contingency request. What happened with that?
So Tony's on vacation. When Tony gets back, I'll have all the answers. We've been working on it though.
Okay, so
But
that's still,
everything's in line.
that's still pending?
Yep, everything is in line. I just don't have the exact number where we are from last year.
Alrighty, fire chief's report.
Apparatus is in good shape right now. Everything is going well. We have some training coming up. We're gonna be doing a 2Q class. In the fire world, you don't need a CDL, even though we have a bunch of guys that have a CDL. You're just required to have a 2Q to drive. So we have hosted a class here in August. I think we have 9 guys signed up.
Okay, and that is just for Woodbridge or for other places?
That's for Woodbridge. The class holds 13, so we'll look for outside people to carry the 13, and then they pay into the class. And I think if we fill the class, we get like 2 people off, so we might only be paid for 7 people.
Do you have any update on the shed?
I do. So the shed is moving forward. I actually just got the print back late this afternoon. Haven't really had a chance to look at it, but it is here. If somebody wants to take a look at it quick. And it's still a work in progress, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll finalize it and get it out to bid and find out where we are.
All right, so you're finalizing the drawings and specs, and then going out to bid.
You got it.
Okay, anybody have questions on that?
And it's more of a storage garage / training facility more than a shed. It's not really
I'm
a
sorry,
shed.
storage garage?
Storage garage.
Okay,
And the reason for it is because they want us to vacate where the new cultural center is gonna go in the old firehouse.
yes. All right, item C, Deputy Fire Marshal Rod White discussion.
So Deputy Fire Marshal Rod White, he used to be, help us out a few years back. And even when Joe was the fire marshal, Rod stepped in a few times. He's a retired fire marshal from Bethany. What we need is, when Joe's not around, we need some type of coverage, and we end up usually calling Rod, or we end up with Bethany or Orange or somebody to cover us. What we really need to do is we need to bring somebody on as a deputy fire marshal, just so we have jurisdiction, already having jurisdiction, so they would work under Joe's control. When Joe's not here, Joe would be in charge of them. So our recommendation, since we've worked with him before, is Rod White. What I'd like you guys to do tonight is make a motion to move forward, pending the outcome of his background check, which we should have back this week. But there is a little bit of urgency. Joe's gonna be going out for some surgery, and we do need coverage for the time he cannot be doing fire marshal duties, investigations.
Okay, so my understanding is that there is a position created already, Deputy Fire Marshal.
Correct.
It's been vacant for how long?
It's been vacant since 2012.
Okay. It's not a paid position,
It is not.
but if he steps into Joe's shoes, is there like an hourly nothing?
No,
Okay.
not at this time. If we were to pay him something, we'll bring it back here, and then we can address it at that point.
Okay. And in the past, has that been how it was structured when there was previously a deputy fire marshal?
So we had 2 positions. One was a paid deputy and one was a non-paid deputy. So we've had it both ways.
Okay. Anybody have questions?
Shouldn't they be paid? That?
Rod's doing it to help us out more than anything, so he's not looking to get paid. We don't need him really to go out and do inspections or stuff like that. We need him
Right.
more to do, if we do have a fire, do an investigation. And he's offered to step into that.
I would think there should be a per diem amount.
Yeah.
So he's an employee of the town though, to some extent, in
Sure.
terms, so.
So he's covered under
Would that
workers'
be,
comp.
would that be us, or would that be somebody like your director of personnel for the town of Woodbridge should be involved in that decision, to the extent that hiring an employee, even compensated or non-compensated, may impact other agreements that we have within the town?
You're not hiring an employee. So we already checked with town council.
Okay.
Town council is good with it.
And they're going through all the town checks, background checks. That's not,
We have to go, we're going through a background check right now through the state. Yep.
yeah. All right, unless anyone has any other questions, call to a motion. Anybody have other questions?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, so,
The motion's to approve
To have
A
him
temporary
appointed,
deputy
to have
fire marshal.
Rod White appointed deputy fire
Deputy
marshal.
Fire Marshal for the town of Woodbridge, pending the background check. And then once that happens,
And approve,
Step
subject to
into
approval by
format.
the
Yeah,
town.
yeah, subject to approval by the town. So that's the motion. And we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I'm sorry, what was the motion again?
Motion to approve the appointment of Rod White as deputy fire marshal, subject to the outcome of background check and town approval.
What do you mean town approval? You are, you're the authority having jurisdiction.
Okay. That's the motion. Because I assume the town has, personnel office has parameters around requiring the background check and the outcome of the background check. I'm reviewing the background check?
Mhm. We're
All
gonna
right.
check with Jerry on this.
Okay
All
then.
set.
All right.
Rod
so-
was the deputy fire
Rod
marshal for
was the
9
deputy,
years.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, no, I'm just worried about procedure, that's all,
No.
we're going back and forth. So I'd like to leave the language of the motion that way. Obviously, if the town says we don't have anything to say about it, fine, but.
Right, if it's been
Yeah,
approved by the town,
right,
then
yeah.
it's immaterial.
Doesn't get approved by the town here. You are the authority having
Subject
jurisdiction.
to any
of this.
town approvals
Okay.
required,
Sure.
okay. Motion is amended.
Second.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Activity report, Assistant Chief Ted Pockwitz.
All right, for the month of June, we did 34 calls for 182.78 hours. Brings us up to 182 calls for the year for 1,424.59. So we're slightly over the average for the years, but we're under the hours. So we're getting, we had slightly more calls, but we're not as, spending as much time on scene for most of them. Same with for the year, we're running slightly under, and we're probably almost half as long on scene. So we've not had as many calls that take as long. In the month of June, we had 4 fires. We had 1 assist medical. We had 13 hazardous condition, no fire. We had 1 good intent call and 15 false alarms. So that brings us up, we had the second quarter report, we did 99 calls for 710 hours, which is, again, slightly above, but we're about 100 hours below. And we're running about on average for that. Same with the full year. The 182 calls is a little bit under, and we're way under on the time that we've had for quite a few of the other ones. So we're doing good. We've had several calls recently for the ATVs to assist. We've had several people that have gotten hurt on the trails in town, so we've been using the ATVs. Some people have seen them. There was a comment on Facebook about thanking us for coming out and helping a young man that had gotten stung by bees on the trail and passed out on the way back. So we assisted the medic. The medic provided care, epinephrine to him to counteract the bee sting, and then we loaded him onto the UTV and brought him back out of the woods. UTV. UTV.
Utility, okay.
Yeah, utility vehicle. It has a cart, especially on the back of it, to help load people on and take them out. So that's like we've had like 3 or 4 of them this year so far. So it's been a busy year for them. And we've been up on the Parkway a few times for some MPAs and stuff. So we've made a few responses up there. What did we do? 1, 2, 3. 11 of the 34 calls were motor vehicle accidents last month. And so we're still seeing a lot of motor vehicle accidents. No major fires in the month of June. It was minor brush fires, that kind of stuff. Power lines that came down on one fire.
have questions on the activity report? Thank you, Assistant Chief. Fire Marshal's report.
15 inspections, 11 plan reviews, 5 consulting. I took a porting complaint, and on my side of the new reporting program, the first due site, we have to build it ourselves. So in between everything else, I'm working on building the computer side. That's why you don't have a printed report
Oh,
from
okay.
me, because I can't get on it yet, because we didn't finish building it. So hopefully I can finish that up this week. It's coming along, but it's gonna be a little more efficient than the system we had. We just, Friday, Tina and Teddy just got the old information that was on Firehouse software brought over to us. So we were waiting for that also. We're chugging along here.
Very good. All right, anybody have any questions? No? Okay. All right, correspondence, it looks like we have a piece of correspondence here. Sorry about the 2 a.m. false alarm Saturday morning. We appreciate the prompt response and you checking the house. For Emerald Lane, Craig, Emily, Cole, and Evie, and Diana the dog.
Get a paw print on there from the dog.
Ted, if you happen to be able to print out that Facebook, I'd like to include that in the meeting notes and correspondence about the UTVs.
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. All right. I also just wanted to say, I believe that the thank you letter went out to Michael Horton for his service.
I don't know.
Okay. I think I sent it back to Tina last week, so if it didn't go out, it will go out this coming week. All right, anything else? Any questions? Okay. All right, the next item is to approve the June meeting minutes. We could just take a minute to read over them for anybody that didn't have a chance to do that. Okay, everybody else set? All right, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the June 26, 2023 special meeting of the Fire Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, our next meeting date as of now is August 21st. Does that work for everybody?
We usually cancel the one in August, unless you guys want to do it. You can leave it in and then always cancel it later if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, anybody have a conflict for that?
Works
Okay. All right, so the next item is an executive session with 3 items. The litigation, the Goldman case, discussion regarding the bylaws, town ordinances, regarding personnel, and an adoption of the fire dispatch protocol. So we will be, I'd accept a motion to enter into executive session, inviting in Chief Rowland to discuss those 3 items as presented.
Make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We are in executive session with Chief Rowland.